The next time you feel overwhelmed by the stack of dirty dishes on the counter or the pile of laundry on the floor, stop and pay attention to what you're feeling in that moment right then. That's just one strategy we are explaining today to help you handle what overwhelms you and accomplish what you're after. Joining me is Erin Shepard, a licensed clinical social worker. She believes being overwhelmed isn't the problem, it's how you react to it that matters. I am so intrigued by this topic because I think it encapsulates all of us, right?
It totally does.
On a daily basis, and I appreciate those setup examples because sometimes it's the small things that can feel big in the moment.
Right.
So are we wasting energy then trying to get rid of the problem, get rid of whatever's overwhelming us?
We do. So we waste a lot of energy, and it's not even our fault. I think a lot of times being overwhelmed is such an unwelcomed feeling, and we view it as, oh no, something's wrong. Like I'm not doing something right. I'm not on the right path to be successful or to have the things taken care of the way I want to. And then we kind of start to fear that. And so hopefully by having this conversation, we can kind of get thinking about ways to kind of reframe that so that being overwhelmed doesn't have to be accomplishment's enemy.
Well, how is our energy then better spent?
That is a great question and a perfect place to start. So a lot of times when we are experiencing being overwhelmed, there's a lot of underlying emotions at play. And I'll kind of give you a heads up. They're not like the fluffy, fun emotions to feel. They're kind of the really heavy, hard ones. Things like feeling inadequate, being insecure, being afraid that we're gonna fail, afraid that, you know, what we really want isn't working out. And so a lot of times we don't want to deal with those.
See, now those sound, you warned us, but those sound like huge things.
They are.
And you're telling me those big feelings translate to not being able to fold the laundry?
Yes.
Really?
Yep, every time. Because the laundry is the trigger, right? We see the laundry and we're like, oh, I can't get through everything I want to in the day. Look, I can't even get the laundry put away. And so really what you're feeling is you're feeling inadequate. And so, but we just kind of leave that disguised in being overwhelmed. But if we can look at it and be like, wow, today has been a really hard day. Like I've had to put out all these fires I didn't plan on doing. And now I haven't gone to the laundry. Now the laundry isn't this huge, horrible task because we've been able to recognize ways that, you know, we're in a little over our heads, and that makes us feel unsure.
All right, let's take us to that moment. Step one, you say, is not to react, but rather to listen. Listen to what?
So listen to what being overwhelmed is telling you.
Okay.
So we know now that it's not the laundry. It's not the laundry that's super overwhelming. It's how we're feeling. And so our initial reaction might be, oh, I'll hurry and get the laundry done. I'll hurry and get the dishes done because then I will have everything back in control. I'll be on top of everything.
I'll feel on top of the world.
Yeah, and you know, and ultimately I think we're working towards bigger goals. You know, we're working towards spending time with our kids, or we're working towards a project that we really enjoy doing, and those things are in our way. So if we stop and listen in that moment, what we do is we create an opportunity for us to kind of see those underlying emotions at play.
Okay.
Kind of a good way to think of that is when you untangle a knot. My daughter is notorious for bringing me these big clumps of necklaces. And she's like, will you untangle these?
It's a talent of hers.
Right? We never knew being a mom, we'd become professional and knot untiers. But she'll hand me these big clumps of necklace and say, will you untangle this? And my first reaction is, well, we just need to throw that away. Like, you are going to have to start over. And that's kind of what overwhelmed makes us want to do. It makes us think that we can't tackle this. We can't get this accomplished. But by looking at that knot of necklaces, and as I find the ends and kind of slowly start to unravel that, I loosen that knot. And that's what those underlying emotions do, is they let us loosen the power that overwhelming has.
A lot of times, therapists, coaches like yourselves will encourage us to identify the emotion. It's important to put a label on it. Does that apply to this situation?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
True to my profession, right? How are you feeling? What's making you feel that way? But questions you can ask yourself is, where is this coming from? You know, what is it that I'm actually feeling? And once we've identified those underlying emotions, now being overwhelmed, we can kind of sit with it for a second to kind of look at it in a different way.
So give us an example of what a feeling. Let's again just use this beautiful pile of laundry that we've created in our minds.
That we worked with.
What could be some emotions that we would label in that moment?
So, you know, I think doubt.
Okay.
Like, wow, it's the end of the day and I still have all of the laundry sitting here. How am I ever going to get to a place where I actually have time to work on this project that I really want to do?
Got it. Doubting yourself.
Or how am I ever going to be able to put the time into work that, you know, I really am interested in? Or how am I going to have time to play with my kids? I'm always cleaning up all of these messes. You know, and there's a lot of insecurity there.
So here's the big challenge, Erin. You say we can then use those feelings, which sound pretty negative, to work for us. How do we do that?
So one way we can do that is kind of think about, is it's something we're working towards. So a good way to explain this is I had a client that was going back to school. She had kind of waited for a season in her life where things kind of had slowed down, and she felt like it was now a good opportunity for her to go back and finish her degree. When she got back to school, she quickly started feeling really insecure. The classroom setting had changed, and initially, you know, she just wanted to give up. She just thought, this is too overwhelming, I can't do this. But once she was able to recognize, I'm feeling insecure and that's okay because I'm doing something new and hard, and now being overwhelmed, it was working towards something for her. So once she now could realize that, you know, being overwhelmed is going to be a piece of what I'm going to carry until I work towards what I want to accomplish. Another question we can ask ourselves is, being overwhelmed, does it have a way into what we're working through? I had a friend who, when her son started school, they started seeing a lot of behavioral problems, and she started having these meetings and diagnoses, and things were being thrown around that were really scary and hard. And while they were working through his needs, she was kind of the brunt of all of his negative emotions, his temper tantrums, his sadness, you know, when he wasn't making friends. And that was making her feel really inadequate. When she was able to step back and realize, I'm really overwhelmed in these situations because this is something I'm working through.
I like that.
And so then it had a place. So now it wasn't something that was a signal that she was failing or a sign that she wasn't successful. It just now had a place. It had a place to belong in her challenge.
20 seconds left. You want us to finally acknowledge the fear and not feed it.
Yes. So I think a lot of times we kind of get a misconception that successful people, they don't get overwhelmed. But the truth is I think all of us deal with feelings of being overwhelmed. It's just what we do with them. Whether we fear them and hide from them and think we're failing, or whether we use them to kind of work for us and our success.
I really like this topic and really appreciate and value your advice. Thank you so much. Where can people go to get more insight from you?
So I have a website. It's yarrowtherapy.com, and I just focus on maternal mental health. So anything from postpartum issues to just struggling with being overwhelmed and just things that all mothers face.
We'll post a link on our website. Thank you again.
Thank you.